In the final moments of the final episode of HBO's The Jinx, on Sunday night, real estate heir Robert Durst seems to confess to having murdered all of his victims in a pretty damning statement. Take a look.
Or maybe this is the bathroom.
Yeah, that's...
You're right, this is the bathroom. There it is. You're caught. What the hell did I do? Kill them all. Of course.
Now, this statement was caught in a recording where Durst was mumbling to himself in the bathroom, but unfortunately for him, his mic was still on. Now, just to give you some background on his situation, Durst married Kathy McCormick in 1973. The couple then separated but didn't divorce in 1980. In 1982, Kathy was presumed missing in New York after a fight with Durst, before which she confided in a friend. She said, "Promise me if something happens to me, you'll check it out. I'm afraid of what Bobby might do." But Kathy's case was deemed a missing case and not a murder. Then in 2000, the case was reopened and investigators scheduled to meet with Susan Berman in Los Angeles, a very close friend of Durst, who they thought might be hiding some of his secrets.
A confidant, yeah.
And a few days before her questioning, Berman was found fatally shot in the back of her head in her Los Angeles home. And even though Durst could be placed in California at the time of the shooting, he could not be placed in Los Angeles. Now, if that was enough for you, in 2001, Durst rented an apartment in Galveston, Texas, and disguised himself as a mute woman. He was arrested for the murder and subsequent dismemberment of Morris Black, his 71-year-old neighbor. But he was acquitted during the trial because he claimed it was in self-defense. He said that the two were grappling over a gun.
Over his gun,
even though he admitted to using a paring knife, 2 saws, and an axe to dismember the victim.
Yeah.
Clearly, he has an amazing lawyer.
Well, yeah, and they said there that it's basically just, oh man, he felt so bad after accidentally killing this guy that he just went crazy temporarily, and so he covered it up. And then they said, well, he was so affected by it that he can't remember the details. So that was convenient for his defense as well.
Exactly. Later in 2010, Durst approached HBO to start filming this docuseries and kind of set the story straight after he saw the film All Good Things, based loosely on his life. And then this past Sunday, after the airing of the final episode of his docuseries, you saw that the ending clip of that was Durst's confession, which we showed you in the beginning. He was arrested in a New Orleans hotel. He was under a fake name. Police believe that he was trying to flee the country and go to Cuba. Yesterday on Monday, Durst appeared in court in New Orleans, and he will now face charges in California for the death of Susan Berman, a charge which carries the death penalty. His lawyer, Dick DeGuerin, said that they will use this opportunity to set the story straight and still claims, obviously, that he is innocent.
Yeah. He has the worst luck in the world. Everywhere he goes, murders seem to happen across the hallway from him, which is suspicious. I
mean, he's obviously crazy. You can see in the mumblings of the video when he's in the bathroom, he's just, if you watch the full video, he's just talking to himself. He's like, oh, I need to pee, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's clearly unstable.
Yeah, so before we go back to me implying that he probably did all this, I do want to play a little bit of devil's advocate. So, theoretically, if he hadn't committed any of these murders, he has been sort of fleeing accusations of being a murderer for 40 years, and so it's possible that his mind has just been shattered by having to move across the country so many times to get away from investigations and have to hide his identity. And it could be, like his lawyers will probably say, that when he went into the bathroom, he's like, he's thinking these fucking lawyers, like, they're just not going to stop bothering me. What did I do? Yeah, I killed them all, obviously. Like, he could be saying it like that.
And obviously that's probably what the lawyers are going to say what happened.
No, he got caught. He did it.
No, he totally got caught and he did it.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is they've, the producers of this docuseries have been kind of sitting on this tape for a few years now. This was filmed over a long period of time. And they're, critics are saying that basically they were sitting on this information and released it at the end so that they could kind of build up some publicity, so it kind of worked in their favor. But regardless, these two producers did what law enforcement in 3 states could not do in 30 years. And this is coming from Janine F. Pirro, the former Westchester County District Attorney, where his wife disappeared.
And they said that they investigated him for 10 years, which is probably why they were able to do what the law enforcement is not going to spend years, probably not even months, investigating the guy. And so that shows tenacity on their part.
Exactly.
So, like, I understand it's difficult to get him for the murder of the wife, possibly. You can't prove that he was near her. And maybe for Susan Berman, since you can't prove he was even in the city. But the fact that a jury acquitted him in the murder of the merchant seaman in Galveston, like, I don't care if it's self-defense. There's certain things you're allowed to do afterward. If you kill someone in self-defense, maybe you don't call the police for an hour. Like, you're trying to figure out what to do. Or maybe you flee and then call the police. I get that. I don't think you should do those. I get it. You don't get to cut up a body and dump it in the bay. No. And they never found his head. Well, God knows what this guy did to that person. We don't even know that he was shot because we couldn't find the head.
Right.
He might have just cut the guy up. Maybe that's how he killed him.
We have no idea. Right, exactly. And I think this kind of calls to a bigger issue. The fact that he's this, New York City real estate tycoon heir, just shows you what money and power can get you in this country. It just shows you having a good lawyer. I guarantee you, if he was poor or of color, he would have already been in jail. Yeah. Guaranteed.
Well, yeah, I mean, it might be that with the merchant seaman, the jury might not have given him the benefit of the doubt. I mean, that's basically what they did. They said, well, we can't prove that he killed him in malice. Like, that's why they let him off. And it also, just as a side note, it proves that unless you have, like, a smoking gun of, like, a person standing over a body, it is actually pretty difficult to get a murder charge to stick. Like, a lot of murders go unsolved. The fact that he has had so many, I think, should, like, that the fact that the jury didn't care that he had already been implicated in 2 other possible murders and a string of other crimes not connected to murder, like shoplifting and stuff like that.
Right.
That jury just totally dropped the ball.
Right, I agree. But it's good to know that he will, face charges in California, and it'll be interesting to kind of see how this unfolds.